What is up, YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about Victini Mewtwo. This deck is meant to be super aggressive, super in there, and thank you guys for all clicking on today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy the content, obviously subscribe, leave a like, let me know you guys enjoy it. I really appreciated the feedback on the set review. Had a lot more people tell me they liked it than I thought would. Really appreciate that a lot. It means a lot from the bottom of my heart. So this is the deck I played to Hexters this week, and it's basically just like a pure, unadulterated aggression style, consistent fire teeny with Mewtwo to clean up on the back end. And so the idea behind the deck was that you basically can just kind of get in there and do a lot of damage, and you take the lead early, and you never really give it up. And that's kind of the angle I was going for with it. Obviously, some hands were not favorable for me, especially when you're playing a deck like Welder Reliant and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about the deck today, go into a little bit of a mini report on the tournament. No gameplay today, unfortunately, so if you're here for the gameplay, I apologize. You can check out my VODs on stream. I played all my rounds there, twitch.tv/theflee, THEFLEEEE. You can check it out there. But for now, we're going to jump into Victini VMAX. So, as you guys know, Victini VMAX, new set, really strong card. Max victory says V, 100 damage. If it's V, plus 120. So you have a really good time knocking out the Urshifus, the Dragapults, Boltons, other Victinis. You basically can kill a lot of things that set up and that are really strong in this format right now. So on that token, this card is... The idea was that I play this card and capitalize on the meta. I thought Eternatus and Luke Metal would be a lot more popular than they were, and that was a little bit of a misconception on my part. You have two of these Victinis that have energy bursts on the back that do a lot of damage as well. And then you have this. I played one Victini just to try it out because one retreat cost I felt like could be a little bit of a game changer. And Flare Shot does do a lot of damage, especially with something that's like completely naked. So I don't know. I thought this would be good. It didn't really do anything negatively or positively. So it probably could be cut just for the third guy. So there's one copy of Reshiram because Flare Strike is probably your best 4 energy attacker for Mewtwo. Outrage is also really strong, and you don't even mind benching this in a lot of matchups. The Double Blaze is an excellent way to do a ton of damage on turn 1. So all these pieces are really, really strong for you. You have 2 Mewtwo because this card is really, really good. You need to kind of get the ball rolling and use some of these GX attacks that are really, really powerful in the fire deck. There's no Heatran. That's probably the most notable omission from the list. Because I think by having Reshiram's-GX Double Blaze, Incineroar's-GX Darkest Tornado, Charizard-GX Attack Flare Blitz, or Power Burner GX, you have 4 potentially better GX options without needing to have a lot of energy onto your board. So I really like those options. Incineroar-GX, as we talked about, Crushing Punch 130 doesn't do a lot. It's not that crazy. For 3 energy, it's like kind of a bad attack, but Darkest Tornado is probably one of the best GX attacks in the game because Mewtwo is going to take damage, and if it doesn't die in a lot of matchups, it can deal a lot back and probably one-shot whatever 3 prices they have in the active. So you kind of get a free trade plus damage on their board wherever you want it, because you probably get 2 attacks with that Mewtwo. Flareon-GX is an interesting card. Heat Stage is really good early. You probably don't want to be using it, but Bright Flame says 190 discard 2, so it's the best 3 energy attacker for fire type in the deck, and that's really strong because 190 can definitely set up numbers with Victini because sometimes it does 100. That's something that isn't a V Pokemon. So, and then Power Burner GX is something I've used to close out games. Do a fat 200 hit for weakness on an opposing Mewtwo when they think that you can't Welder or something like that. So you can just go for boss Mewtwo, kill their Mewtwo play. Kind of a having Mewtwo in your deck lets you answer a lot of the other Mewtwo's, and having a 1 energy GX attack is really strong. Now, Charizard-GX is a card that, I mean, all of us are very familiar with. Flare Blitz is probably one of the best tempo gaining attacks in the game, and against ADP, it's probably a necessity to do that turn 2. Now we have 1 copy of Eldegoss, 2 copies of Crobat, and 2 copies of Dedenne to draw cards. We have 1 Cramorant, so we can use Spit Shot to kind of close out games on Dedenne's. A lot of people are playing Mew right now, so this card's validity is probably not as strong as it would be, but as the format kind of cycles and things come in and out, Cramorant could be stronger as we move, but right now there's a lot of Mew, so it's not as strong, but Beat Catch can really set you up for a favorable way to the game. Like, you can use Victini to take 4 prizes, like on a Crobat, and then on like their attacker, like Urshifu, Dragapult, Cramorant cleans up the game on a Victini. Dedenne, yeah. We play Marshadow, Resetting Hole, because Hearth is a huge part of our like plan of success. and power plays can also be very annoying. So dealing with both of those cards is a quick ballable target, Poke-combable target, and having another Pokemon doesn't hurt because we play a lot of communications. We have 2 copies of Cherish Ball, 4 copies of Quick Ball, and 4 copies of Pokemon Communication. All consistency cards to find the pieces that we need. We're playing a stage 1 deck effectively, so finding these stage 1s is very strong. Evolution Incense is another consideration, but having Pokemon Communication means that we can find some of these GX Pokemon that we want to discard or put them back into the deck to get our Victini VMAXs. There's 4 copies of Switch. I think Switch is just, you need this in every deck right now. 4 copies of Boss's Orders, and 4 copies of Welder. So we are a Welder deck, but also Victini needs 2 energy to attack, and once we Weldered maybe once, 2 times, potentially a 3rd time, we want to be bossing as much as we can. We want to be bossing on turn 2 sometimes. This is a mistake I definitely made in one of my rounds that I'll talk about in a second, but boss is definitely way, way important. There's 2 copies of Gear and 2 copies of Research, both for consistency purposes, and they're very, very needed. There's 3 copies of Giant Hearth, also for consistency purposes. 1 Air Balloon. I would like a second, but I don't know what I'd cut right now. It would probably have to come from the Research, if anything, to go to a 2 Air Balloon. But other than that, it's really pretty rock solid. But cutting a Research also means I'd probably want something like a Great Catcher, just to have more aggressive outs to end the game. And then Levin Fire, nothing more to say there. So let's jump into my tournament report. Round 1, I went up against a Dragapult deck, and that matchup was pretty easy. I was able to get a turn 2 knockout with Victini VMAX, and from that point on, it was pretty lights out. The second round, I went up against a Blacephalon deck, and, well, it came down to the wire, I'm pretty sure, but the Blacephalon deck was able to run away with it just based on the prize trade and how things went, because Victini VMAX does have a tough time one-shotting the Baby Blowns, which is a little bit funny to think about, that this massive guy can't one-shot a Baby Blacephalon, but, and Reshiram is kind of a problem too, so I couldn't really get a Mewtwo established fast enough, and that really hurt me. Then I went up against ADP, where I was able to get a hit off onto the ADP. And no, I didn't hit the ADP. I went ahead and bossed the Zacian turn 2, knocked it out, bossed another Zacian turn 3, and then I cleaned up the game with a third boss onto a, I believe it was a Crobat, I want to say, to end the game. So, kind of a roundabout way of getting there, because I couldn't get the Mewtwo and Mew-GX off, and he was playing Crushing Hammers. So, that was kind of my answer to the solution there. Then I went up against Pikarom, where I knocked out their Bolt on turn 2, and they kind of conceded. Don't really know what was going on there, but we'll take it. We take those. Then I went up against another ADP, and this is where I messed up tremendously. I got the turn 2 boss on the Zacian, and I was going to go down to a 1-card hand, which would have just been Switch if I went Goss for boss for knockout on another Zacian, but I didn't, and I went ahead and calmed for a Dedenne instead and drew cards, thus having a Dedenne as well as a Crobat. I had just a Crobat in play, sorry, at this point. And I was like, I can give him 2 prizer to knock out his ADP. I should still be okay if I hit the boss. I didn't hit it there. I had to force to dig a little bit further. But I didn't have another card to draw cards, so I missed the boss that turn, and that ended up costing me the game, because had I bossed the Zacian and taken 2 prizes, he would have stamped me to 2 because he played 1 copy of Reset Stamp. And at that point, I was still had 3 boss in the deck. I would have had both Dedenne in the deck. I would have had Crobat in the deck. Like, Eldegoss would be the only piece that I'm missing that doesn't win me the game realistically. And my Victini wouldn't have even been knocked out. So I would have been in a position where I killed the second Zacian. He had a 3rd in the discard already. And if the 4th was in the deck, he could set it up. But then he already has an Eldegoss on the bench, and he already had a Crobat on the bench. So I had 2 other additional targets to kill with Victini VMAX. So I definitely threw that win away by making that gigantic mistake. Not a win for sure, but I definitely threw myself a favorable position into it became like a 1-prize game once I killed the ADP, but I was never winning because he was just going to boss whatever was left. Then I went up against Rillaboom Mewtwo. Probably one of the most favorable matchups for the deck, because we're a fire deck and they are not, and we pretty much hit for weakness, and they played 1 weakness card energy, so nothing could really come of the game. Like, I basically just went in with Victini, killed some stuff, pivoted into Mewtwo, killed his Mewtwo, pivoted into Reshiram, cleaned up the game. Like, it was simple. And we went up against a mirror match, but this mirror match was a little bit weird because he decided to go really aggressively with Mewtwo, and I was able to punish it, and then I cleaned up the game by using Mewtwo, Boss, Flareon to go Power Burner and knock him out for the game. Because we had a bunch of discard energies, and at the late game stage, it was like 3-3 on prizes, I believe, and he put the Mewtwo down, and I didn't have a Mewtwo in play, but I don't think he could have won besides a Zigzagoon ping and a 300 on the Victini VMAX or something. But he went ahead and used Flare Starter. He used Spreading Flame, sorry, and then I went ahead and just bossed it and killed it. So it was really, really strong there. So now we're on win-in territory. I'm up against Lucario Melmetal. Lucario Melmetal, I pretty much just swept. The matchup was super easy. He opened his Zacian, I killed it turn 2 with, or on my turn 1 actually, with Energy Burst, because he attached 2 energies to it. And then he just promoted a bunch of dolls, and I just kind of killed them and swept through them. And then Pikarom was my next matchup, and Mo is a really good friend of mine. He definitely got a little bit unlucky, but I was able to kill the Bolt on turn 2, into boss killing an Eldegoss turn 2, into boss killing a Crobat turn 3, or something like that, and like, that was pretty much all she wrote. Like, I basically just bossed 3v Pokemon and ended the game. That's the power of this guy, actually. Like, you basically just boss every turn, kill these, like, support Pokemon. We're just preying on support Pokemon for, like, 90% of our games. So now I'm in Phase 2 at 7-2. Feeling good about the deck, feeling good about my chances. I go up against Azul round 1. Azul is now making a deep run as I'm recording this video, so props to him. He's playing Mad Party, and the game goes as expected, where no side really lets up. He never puts a 2-prizer down for me to capitalize on. And the prize trade ends up coming down to a, I need him to whiff a boss on the last turn, but there's a pretty low chance he does that. So he was able to get everything he needed, and the game kind of ended. The next turn I'll go up against Pikarom, and my opening hand is probably one of the worst opening hands I've ever seen. I opened Eldegoss, all 3 VMAX, double Hearth, like a fire, like it was nothing. For 3 turns I didn't get to do anything. He was able to electrify for free. And then eventually I got set up, got a Cramorant, beak catched, he killed it, and then I went ahead and got a VMAX out. Or I went, Reshiram killed him, his Boltund, he full blitzed into my Mewtwo. I went boss and I killed something else, and then he stamped me low, and I still had a chance to win, but that was all she wrote. I needed a boss, and I would have won the game actually, because Victini VMAX does in fact pick off your bench Pokemon, so I was able to get on 2 prizes, but it was super unfortunate because he actually Marnied me to 4, and so I had 5 cards to find, like a Calm, a Cherish Ball, a Quick Ball, something. Didn't find it there. I lost. Now I'm effectively knocked out of Top Cut, and I go up against Superior, who's playing ADP again, and this time things just did not go our way. Our hand was not optimal, and yeah, it was a sad one. Then I go up against Rillaboom Mewtwo. I played super poorly, and I tried to go for the game using Mewtwo, but because I missed the game, he was able to just drop. He was able to just drop his on Mewtwo and power it up and boss my Mewtwo for game. So kind of inted there, but I was already mentally checked out. I was playing possibly for top 32 packs, and at that point, it didn't really feel worth it to keep playing. So there you have it, guys. That's the Victini Mewtwo deck. It's pure aggression. I know there's not that many comeback mechanics like the regular Victini deck has. No fan of waves, no stamp, none of that stuff. We're just an aggressive, like kill deck. This deck is probably going to be very strong for PC4 in the best of 1 qualifying stage, because going first or second doesn't matter for you. You're a strong deck either way. You have a lot of potential options, and so I wanted to highlight one of these really aggressive decks that could flourish in a best of 1 format, where your lists are kind of hidden and you can kind of climb through this bracket and get your games done quickly and effectively. So Players Cup 4 does start in about a week, so I'm going to try to put out a couple more lists in that meantime and keep going through as we go. So definitely leave a like, subscribe, and let me know if you guys enjoyed the content. As always, until next time, peace out, guys. This is Rahul, and we're going to come back with more Pokemon content on Friday.